All right, all you devils, how's it going? Happy Friday. Here we are, the 16th of April. Oh, it's a little afternoon for me here. So a lot to cover today. We're going to look both at the shorter term counts in Bitcoin, some of the longer term stuff. I want to look at Bitcoin dominance and then total market cap, total two, I should say. So we're going to dig deep here. Now, before we do that here, just bring this to your attention here. We're going to run this through Tuesday the 20th. So we're giving a discount on the educational memberships. Well, we do these periodically here, but a little bit of a spring fling here. Everybody's anxious to re-engage, get out of the COVID craziness. So I thought we'd just do a little spring fling here. So we're offering 15% off of the monthly, the single month by month on the educational membership, 20% on the 3-month, and 25% on the 6-month. Now we're going to keep that valid through Tuesday, 4/20. So all you stoners out there, don't forget if you're partaking and celebrating on 4/20, don't forget to take advantage of this if you're intending to. So just a little reminder, we'll run it through midnight on 4/20. So that should give you plenty of time here. Now, I had a member wrote us and was struggling with this a little bit, so I thought I would just show you this here because it's a little bit different here in the way this has been programmed. So if you were going to take advantage of that, you'd come over here to TradeDevils.com, plans and pricing, hit select. Now here it gets a little bit, it's not your typical enrollment process. So once you click that, this is our buy button. You're going to hit subscribe. Now from there, you're picking whatever you want. So let's say you were going with a 3-month. That's going to trigger the buy. Then it's checkout. And then when you're there, that's where you're going to apply the code. So you come back here, and if you're doing the 3-month, you're going to put EDU20 into that discount code, right? I walk you through that here because someone just joined us and they struggled with that. So I thought maybe that's a little bit confusing here. So I thought I would just make that a little walkthrough here so you knew how to do it. Okay, so there you go. Again, that'll run through Tuesday the 20th at midnight. Take advantage of it if you've been on the fence here. We don't do these that often. All right, so with all that said, let's start here. All right, now I referenced this last Friday here. This is just an awareness here. Now, this is not a skies falling kind of a note here, if you will, however you want to call it. This is the weekly on Bitstamp. And again, I credit Dave the Wave. If you guys follow him on Twitter, he's been, kind of red flagging this. Now, note here, I am in log scale. So I've got a weekly chart up. I'm going back to all the history I can get on Bitstamp. But I also had several people commenting on the last video here. Now, to get this, right, you've got to use the logarithmic MACD. So if you go to indicators, just search under LMACD if you'd like to replicate this and keep this kind of as an awareness level here. Now you'll note here I've got a little alert on this as we get, because I've got some targets up here at 65,602, but this is not what you'd like to see here if we're raging on to new highs. I would certainly feel better if we were to cross back over. So just be mindful of this. As I said last week, we can be bullish. I'm as big a bull as any crypto educator or crypto trader out there that I know of. I would say I'm equally as bullish. But let's not be blind bulls, right? That's just a red flag, right? That's a warning shot right there that we could be a bit overextended. And then you just look at our distance from this is the 233 in the Vegas wave. Our distance from the 233s getting pretty extended, right? And we'll just look back historically when we've had those crosses before. Just an awareness. I would keep an eye on that. If this, potentially, if we don't cross back over and get some legs here, you could anticipate perhaps a retrace. And I think to some extent we've seen a piece of this over the last couple of days with all of the attention that the Coinbase going public brought to the crypto space. There's a lot of buzz. So it's mainstream media. There are many traders who will tell you that kind of an event and getting all of that attention is the ultimate sell signal, right? So, retail's plowing in. Just a lot of enthusiasm here. Certainly there's, across the board, crypto is just on fire. So you just, again, don't be blindly bullish, right? Do your TA and respond accordingly to what's right in front of you. Now, that again, I'm not saying sell all of your Bitcoin. I'm just saying be mindful of what's happening here. I have this somewhere. Keep it in a watch list. Let's keep an eye on this. All right, with that said, so there's your, okay, just a big red flag. Let's go, let me come over here on this one. Let's take here. So I'm going to get you to my account here. Now, let me, I'm here. Well, this shit, I guess it wouldn't matter if we were in log or not here because the range is not so severe. So this is, I've just got a 1 hour here on Bitfinex. Now, when I tell you that on my team here of educators, I've got some of the very best Elliottians anywhere. So if you want to learn from the best, these guys are much better than I am. Much better in terms of their Elliott knowledge. I've got 2 on my team that are level 2 certified. These guys are very, very solid. So if you want to learn from the best, you would be in very good company in our community and amongst our members. Now, I've got both of my level 2 certified Elliotticians are leaning on me here. They are not counting it the same way that I am, and I've got to be open-minded to this, right? Elliott is, it's open to interpretation, right? So you love it or hate it, right? That often, right? Critics say, well, shit, get 10 Elliotticians, you get 10 different counts. I don't care, right, about that, right? I use it. It helps me make decisions. If I didn't think it was effective, I wouldn't teach it. But there are places where it can be counted a couple of different ways. Now, ultimately, the good news here is the way they're counting it and the way I'm counting it ultimately get us to the same conclusion, which is that there's more yet to come, right? So the bull is not dead up here at what we hit 64.8. Yeah, I mean, not that it couldn't be, right? Let's remember what we just looked at here. This is a red flag, right? So as we come back to this, so here's the count that I'm going to just overlay this here. So both of them are leaning on me to say, hey, keep your eyes open to the possibility that what we've got here is a triangle. Now, I go to triangles reluctantly, right? I've had people on my team that, everything's a triangle. My struggle with this count is that I think this is a clear impulse, right? The subdivision here is very good. When we go to my primary here, we'll review that very quickly. And I know here, guys, this is, right. For those of you that, are just looking for the next trade, well, you can fast forward to the end, right? For those of you that are interested in the Elliott and the analysis and the TA, well, this is the kind of thing we would focus on in some of the member-only videos. I mean, many of you guys, I'm assuming you realize that we're posting video content every single day, right? Just what's public is Bitcoin Friday. But we are going to actually change that here. Going into next month, I'm in the process of moving. Just bought a new house here in Austin. So I'm in the process of moving. So I'm going to be moving through the end of this month. But as we hit May 1st, I think we're going to transition to much more live streaming so we can engage with our YouTube subs and even members as well. So YouTube subs and people that would be watching or participating in that live stream will have the opportunity to engage with us. So it'll make it more dynamic and more interactive. So that will be coming as we launch into the 1st of May. So that's part of the reason we wanted to do this here, so we give you the opportunity to take advantage so you can really participate in some of that. But I digress. So let's come back to this. So their view here is that this is what we've got, right? So there's the triangle, and it does play. I can't argue with it, right? My dispute with it here is, again, I think this is an impulse. So to work around that, you'd have to do it this way, which at a distance, right? When you look at it from a distance, come here, you can see the thinking, right? So okay, it's a 3, right? The broader scheme of it is a 3. Now to turn it into an impulse, right? You're working through all the subdivision, but you can certainly. I struggle to count this here. You've got to ignore some of this, and the subdivision here in the last 5 is so good here. So I struggle with it a little bit myself. But you don't have to get this right to know that whether we're coming out of this, if this is a 4, right? So if it's triangle, something completed here, right? So I think we can all agree this is an impulse. Now coming out of this as a triangle, it certainly works, but if that were the case, then this would have to be a 3, and this would have to be the 4 here. So if it almost doesn't matter where these are. This would have to be 3. This would be the 4. Now we're going up for the 5. Now let's Here, we'll just put it in something big and bright here. Oh, let's go even bigger than that. Okay, so if this would have to be a major 3. These would not be relative to what I'm trying to show you here. These would be all much lower. Okay, so this impulse is completing something. Well, we know with certainty this can't be a 2, right? We can't have a triangle in a 2, right? If we're applying Elliott rule set here. We can't have a triangle in the 2. So what that leaves is that this is the 4. Okay, so all right, I certainly am not like, oh my God, it can't possibly be that, right? It certainly could be that this is the 4, and now that would imply that we're in the process now of heading up towards our 5. So coming from this, 1, 2, right, 3, 4, going up for our 5. Well, if we're going up to those kind of levels, right, this is going to need to cross back over, right? So keep an eye on this. Now, my count is a little bit different. I think it's, we'll get there in a second, but remember this, and we teach this and I emphasize this, but still, right? The Elliott is what fascinates people, right? So when new members come in, the first thing they do is dive into the Elliott. To me, right, Elliott is always the third thing that I apply, right? First and foremost, always, what did the algorithm do last, right? Golden zone, right? We're going to look at this in detail on lower counts here, and we've just done it again. So, and then there's some geometry that's in here as well, which you guys have seen, right? We know this just popped. We just got our target here, so we had a corner and we had a golden corner. There's a lot of things going on in here, so it's open to interpretation, but ultimately, and I know you can't see that, as soon as I do that, all of this comes off. Either way, if this is the 4 and we're going up, okay, so be it. I'm putting the 4 here, which I recognize the length of time here is the problem with this count. If this indeed ends up right, and we won't know what the final count is until we start the major correction, which inevitably, right, is going to come, right? There's going to be some sort of correction that will come. But if this is the 4, right, that's right. You've heard me say this the last couple of weeks. It's not enough time relative to the 1, 2. Now, if the 2, I mean, you have to go back. Oh shit, I can't even do it here on a 1, right? If you're going back to the 2 in log, this is your 2. So if I try and put it all together, see if I can do it on the fly here. This would be the 2. So it doesn't look as bad, right? The relationship, the alternation, the length of time doesn't look as bad here at a distance in log scale. So fortunately, right, we're not in dispute as to what's next, right? The implication is we're moving higher, but we're saying that recognizing that we got a little technical problem here. I don't hate this, right? So either way, now that doesn't have to be right, recognize that doesn't need to be the top here, right? This could be much higher, and we could just be in the process of doing the 1, 2, right? Before we go 3, 4, 5. Now we're well over, we're up towards 200, 250, right? Some of the Uber bulls, 250, very reasonable target here. And you can see how, okay, I can see a route to that. Given the length of this 3, I would be suspect of a very short 5. Now, anything's possible, but my thinking would be that, well, shit, here, even if we just measure, right? Let's do it the way we should. Right, if that's the 4 right there, right, and I'm coming off of this little triangle here, and I've got my 4 here, well, there's right. Granted, I'm in log scale, but here's 186 here to get 100% the length of the 1. Again, emphasis in log scale. A little higher, we get the 1618. Well, now we're 400K. All right, we're just going to get the 618, right, which would be coming up short on the 5th. Well, I mean, that still would be well over 100. I think this is a reasonable target here, but again, to replicate that, you got to do it in log scale. I don't hate this count, right? So again, these guys are very, very good, and they're both. I'll check with them before we do this, and we go back and forth often. I say, what do you got here? What's your count? All right, both of them coming out of this with a triangle. So I got to respect their knowledge base, right, and kind of recognize that certainly I could be counting it incorrectly. Again, both get you to the same conclusion that whatever pivot we have here is the start of the next leg higher. All right, so with that said, let me get off of that here. I feel like an obligation here to emphasize here that one, we have a red flag, and two, this is interesting here how to interpret this. Oh, okay. Let's. Yeah, here. I guess since I've been harping on this, let's go back. This is my primary account, which you guys have seen me go over here repeatedly. Now I know there's a lot on here, so let's just open it up and unpack it a bit. So here's the idea that it's a triangle. So I'm going to take that off just for the time being, right? And I've shown you this several times, right? This is why I am leaning, right? So it gets very, very common to have a primary and alternate. So I would tell you this is my primary, the triangle being my secondary or my alternate in terms of a possibility of what's coming next. I continue to hang on to the idea that this is an impulse. Right, so if that's an impulse, it doesn't play into the triangle, right? We'd be looking for an ABC, not an impulse. At the end of the day, if you want to simplify it, okay, 1, 2, all right, now I go 3, 4, 5 here, so I've got 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. Right, if you want to keep Elliott simple, which I'm an advocate of, I mean, that's not complicated. Right now, when it gets tricky like this, well, then that requires some expertise. You're making a judgment call because it could be an ABC. I know I'm dwelling on this, but this final 5 is so clean to me. How are you going to go A, B? And so within it as well, this right here, again, looks to me like an impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 and a 4. It's a shitty 5 to finish the 3, right? It gets a little tight in here. There's the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count that as an impulse, right? So I kind of go through that one to show you, this is, some people say, oh, fuck, who cares, man? Get to the point over here. But as an educator and someone who's teaching Elliott Wave, this is an interesting location here. Now you could say, all right, well, does it really matter at this point, right? Where are we here? Let's focus over here. Well, yes and no, right? So it would matter in the context of if this is 1, 2, 1, 2, and I would call this 1, 2. That's extremely bullish. Right, probably more bullish than this is 3. Then we've gone A, B, C, D, E. Right, so it's a little more bullish, I think. And so perhaps I'm being influenced by this, right? So I'm hedging a little bit here, right? Because this count is extremely bullish. But let's just focus on a couple things here for the educational content, and then we'll get to, literally, I'd like to think that everybody who has ever watched a video of mine, whether it's a member or a YouTube sub, is long right now off of what just happened here. I mean, if you come and you watch this video, right, again, whether it's a member or a YouTube sub, and you watch these week after week, God, tell me you're long here. Right? I mean, all I'm doing in here, right? You can take all the numbers off and just say, what's the dominant swing structure? Okay, there's a 3 right to the golden zone. No, it's a slight front run. Then what do? We get another impulse, right? Slight front run on the 50. 1, 2, 3. This is a little tricky here. Extension of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get that to finish gives me a 1 here, right? If we're thinking triangle, right? This has to be, it can't be a 5. You got to turn that into a 3. So if I'm going, okay, I got a 5, I got a 3. I just completed a 5. And again, here's where I want to emphasize that my priority is always what did the algorithm do, and then is there geometry to support that? Well, what did we just do here, right? So we talked about this last week. Okay, so again, it's a slight front run on the 50, just like this is a slight front run. Let me get that right on there. A slight front run on the golden zone, right? That's what the algorithm will do because they're not going to make it easy for you every time. So if it's approaching, you got to be prepared for it to take off without you. If you're sitting, I'm going to split the golden zone. I'm going to get it just perfect. That's just the kind of thing that'll happen. They'll take off without you, right? Slight front run here. Now here we come, right? We actually go through it just by a couple of ticks. We get the 50. So as this sits here, and we talked about this last month, we say, I wonder if it'll get there. Right, boom, boom, right to the 50. So not a golden corner, but we get a corner pocket. Right, we just miss here. Retrace, boom, just got it. So looking at that now, all right. Oh shit. Sorry guys. Okay, so That just finishing. Oh shit, hang on, I gotta decline that. All right, it's not like me to forget to turn that off, but I did. 5-3. Now this got a little funky in here. This is anybody's guess what's in here, right? How to count this. I'm leaning into an ABC running flat. Then you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm on an hourly, so it's a little squirrely in here. This is, no matter how you look at it or how you end up counting this, it's just corrective, right? We're not advancing the trend. We know we have a technical pivot here. We go up and we get this, right? So this is, I mean, this is my signature trade, right? So. Jesus Christ, right? 5-3, 5-3, 5-3. You should be long right now. This is not a hard trade to take, right? So, okay, Elliott aside, I've got something here that's advancing the trend, right? So swing, correct, swing, correct, swing. I'm advancing the trend. I get a new all-time high here. I tag the median line, right? So I know I've got a technical pivot. We got through, right? If we use this pivot here, right, so if this is our front run here, we got this target, right? We didn't quite, the second target is on top of that higher one. So you can see I've got my alert up here because I want to see if we're going to go back up and get this. But if this is a completed 1 now, right, if we're going to put this into a completed count, if that's a 1 and this is a 2, well, it's implying this is all much higher to go. Now that's way too big a degree. Let's go, we can go submenuet. Okay, so let's do that. Let's change that color here. We'll go to something you guys can see. Let's use that bright blue. Okay, 1 completes, 3 down. All right, so this, we can take it off. This, we can take it off. Okay, swing, retrace, swing, retrace. What do? I come right to structure in a 3. I hope you're long. Right, so if you're long here, now look at that. If you're long here, you could be long off of this pivot here, right? So you've already gone, oh shit, what do we got here? You've already gone almost 4% here. So we've gone from a low here of, let's call it 60 and changed up to 60, 61.9. So you've almost got $2,000 already right here, just off of this pivot. So if you were long here, yeah, I mean, your stop could be under this pivot, right? So again, just because we have this doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to keep going. So you have to respect the risk. But if you took this, or maybe you're like, I'm not sure, you had the retrace. Let's go to a 15. Right? I try and teach you guys this all the time. Oh shit, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure about that one. Well, what happens, right? Swing, retrace, right? We don't. Right? You could have taken it here with a stop under that and had 200. What is that? Even less than that. So you're here at 63.41 and your low is 6. I mean, 300 of risk. Higher low, higher high. Easy trade to take. Right? If you didn't get this one or whatever, if you missed it or you didn't see it, you were asleep, or you're in Europe or whatever, or Asia or wherever, you're somewhere else where you weren't there to see that. Oh shit, I missed it. Oh, maybe I'll get another one. Maybe I'll get a little retrace to go again. I mean, again, I can't. It can't get any simpler than that. Now this is that's a aberrant. I don't even count those. I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is not complicated, right? There's a 3, there's a 5. Okay, so we come into an ABC. That again, if every member should be long right now. Right? I mean, we've been posting a lot of this, and my team has been posting this all over the place on this. What did we get here? I should check this before I started. All right, so are there tells? What's the most common? I mean, the single most common location for a C relative to the length of the A projected from the B. It's 100%. And then again, forget the Elliott, right? Just look at all this, right? So you just use the volume profile. Okay, where do we have a high volume node? Well, we went through all this chop right here. Where what are we doing? Where are we going? Are we going up? We're going down. We're in all this chop. You could even do it this way. All of this. We had to go up and test it. Now bring it back here. Let's use the high volume node. Okay, You say, well, how do you know? Right? How do you know? There's always, so I've said this 1,000 times, there is no random pivot, ever. Well, shit, there's probably some. How do I know, right? You know, if it's coming down, shit, I'm scared to buy that. This is, I mean, I can't, literally, it can't be any better than that. It just, you don't get a better setup than that. We've had 5, we get 3. Okay, so what are the priorities? Okay, let's look at the fib relationships. Is there any geometries to support it? I mean, literally, it tags it and takes off. Okay, we'll forget the Elliott. Okay, how about just volume profile? Where can I anticipate where I might see some support? Because who's defending here? All the people that wrote it up here and it comes back down, well, they're going to defend here. Pops right out. So if you weren't sure, how about the RSI? Oh man, we got down to what, 24 as we're hitting the 100, as we're hitting the median line, as we're at the high volume node. Tell me you're long, right? So if you're a YouTube sub, I know members are long. If you're a YouTube sub, tell me, right, that you haven't been watching for a month, a year, 3 years, that you know to take that. I'd love to see it under the video. Hey, man, I saw it, man. Thanks for all of that. I completely followed what you did. I put the median lines on. I did the A to B. I saw it was a 3. I'm long. And again, that does not, I am not saying that this is going off here. We could easily come down here. But you should be long with almost no risk at all. Again, I can serve it up to you, but I can't cut it up and feed it to you. It's literally, it doesn't get any easier than that. That does not take rocket science and an advanced degree. You don't need to be a level 2 Elliottian to do that. I'm not level 2. But that's just not hard to identify. So I'm kind of dwelling there, but I just, that's a gift, right? So when it's up here, like, oh fuck, new highs, shit, I missed it. Maybe we'll get a retrace. There's the gift, right? You're sitting here waiting for it. So hopefully, with everything that was there, you pulled the trigger on that, right? So you should be long with very little risk. Now, does that mean we keep going? Well, shit, you know, we don't know for sure, but you certainly have a technical entry here, so you should feel good about it, and you should have very low risk. Okay, I'm good. All right, so are we going to get 5 out of this? Well, it remains to be seen, because you know, one positive note here is that we've broken this pivot right here, right? We've broken through, because the risk always in an ABC is that maybe it goes a little, even if we had done the 100, right? Because if this was a 1, 2, we'd gone far enough to make it a 3. Now it could still turn into a diagonal. It's a possibility, right? But we're coming up now. We're bumping into the Vegas wave here. We got a little low volume node. It can roll over. It certainly could, right? Anything's possible. But God, I hope you're long off of that. That's just literally everything we teach you right in that moment. I'm going to digress for just 1 second, because it's not. Oh shit, I got to find it. It's not just crypto. Oh, give me a second here. I'm going to find it, because this is. You know, I was going through this trade with a member, right? Okay, so now we're off Bitcoin here. The point being, a chart's a chart, right? They all trade the same way, because this is all just fear and greed, human emotion, crowd dynamics, and then algorithms. Okay, so here was the big swing, and we finally got a correction in the S&P. So I'm on a 30-minute in the S&P. Okay, let's just take this off here, just so you guys recognize this. The asset doesn't matter. Okay, so this is a little trickier here, because it's a WXY. So you got to have a little Elliott knowledge, but you don't really. Oh, let me take that off. You don't really. Okay, I got a swing, and what comes off of it? I got a 3. Okay, so yeah, this is a little choppy, but it's advancing. It's advancing the trend. So I've got a swing high, and then I get a correction. So what's the first thing we see? Okay, it's right at the 50. I've got a little structure here that nails it to the tick. So I've got 3 coming off of that. Okay, well, now this is the exact same process. Okay, now this will come just shy of the 100, just shy of it. Okay, well, what else is there, right? All right, so remember, algorithm first. Now, that's not perfect. Remember, in a correction, we want to look for the shift. Right, so we come right to the edge of it. So I've got the length of the W projected from the X, there's the 100. I've got a swing low to a swing high, there's a 50, right? How about underneath? Where's the RSI? Right? Again, it doesn't matter. The asset, that's what I've been trying to teach you guys for years. The asset doesn't matter. Okay, so when we were right there, what did we have? We had a corner pocket. Now, let me get that because that's in trend. Let me get that back on original recipe. Boom. Right, so look, here's this is how you can tell it's an algorithm. Right, so not only do we get this, look what we do. We go up here, we tag the first target. Now, we're not to the median line yet. Now we get, so there's our 80%, right? As I tell you guys this all the time, it's the single best, highest odd trade, bar none. There is nothing with higher odds. There we get it right there. Is that enough for you? Oh, how about second target? Now, are we going to go and get that again, right? Here, this would be the third. So if this is 1, 2, and we're going up for the 3, there's the target right there. I would not bet against that. My point being, it doesn't fucking matter. They're all, it's because this is humans, right? Humans and algorithms, right? We know how the algorithm's programmed. Well, shit, I mean, we know how this algorithm is programmed. This is the dominant algorithm. Shit, in the S&P, there could be 500 different algorithms going at one time. But this is the one we can identify. All right, I'm digressing like crazy. Shit, I'm already 30 minutes in. Let's come back here. I think I've got this pretty much wrapped up. So here's the exact same phenomenon happening in Bitcoin on a 15-minute. Exactly the same. Now, does that mean we're going up to all those kind of highs? Well, we don't know that for sure. You never know. Right? We don't get certainty in trading. We get probabilities. Let's put the whole thing together. Does that look similar? I mean, it's literally the exact replication of what we just went through in the S&P. Exactly the same. Pay attention, guys. Right? If you see that, pull the bloody trigger. Look, the risk is so small. That's why we like this trade. You don't put your stop down here under this pivot. That's dumb trading. You don't need to do that. Low amount of risk, very high return. So we can just look here and say, oh, well, here, let's do it this way, right? If you're long here, right? First target. How much? This is a function of how much risk you're comfortable with and whether you're leveraged up and how much size. Right? You put it under the golden zone. Okay, so first target. Well, there's 2.8 to 1. That's not enough for you. Let's bring it up here. Now, even if you started there, at this point, now as you sit here, now you got 16 to 1. That's just if we make the median line. Let's take this one off. If I make the median line, if I make the first target, right? Because you have essentially no risk now, so it's just a free trade. We're going to go up and get some of these others. Well, if this count holds, right? If it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, we're going much higher. Much higher. So where's the trade? Well, shit. I mean, you're not too late, right? So you got to track it. Okay. Now, do I get 5 out of here? Let's go down to a 15. Do I have a 1, 2? Okay, maybe. Maybe. It's a little ugly, but there's no other way to count it. 1, 2. Okay, are we chugging along here trying to get an impulse going? Well, that's going to need to get legs, and that's going to have to get some better shape. So all the more while, we're not coming out of here going, oh, never first. We're not coming out of here going, oh, well, there. Okay, I can see it really clearly. Okay, we're chugging along here. What do we know with certainty we're going to run into? Right? We don't have to wonder about this. We know it's going to be there. Oh shit! Let me take this off here just because I know it gets hard to see. Okay, let's get this off. Okay, what's the first thing we're going to run into? All right, for this to get legs. All right, we're going to run and get it right on there. We're going to run into the sell side algo. Whoop! Let's get you right on there. Okay, so where did we just stall? Do you think that's coincidence? Oh man, he just went through, showed me this on, she's been showing me this for 3 years. He just showed it to me on the S&P, just showed it to me on the sell. Do you think that's a coincidence that we stopped there at the 50? Or do you think perhaps there's an algorithm that just kicked in there? Now, okay, right. So what we've got here is a little algo fight. Buyers here, sellers here, right? This is just software, not some guy sitting there, right? Well, other than us, right? We're here pulling the trigger, but this is software that's running that. So, right, so here, what are they looking for, right here, right? Which would bring it down to the golden zone, which is essentially, right, would come right back down here to the golden zone off of the low. So would that kill the count? Well, we'd have to see what kind of shape it took. Maybe this turns into a WXY. It certainly, if this is impulsive, wouldn't kill the idea that this is a 2. Now, if you're long here, well, you're fuck, okay, break even, right? You see, you took a scratch or a very small loser here. All right, now you reevaluate down here. So what have I got here? Well, right now, this looks like this could be done, because if I go down to the smaller degree here and kind of look into that, and this is, again, where Elliott can be helpful. Do I have a 5 here? Sure looks like I can get a 5 here. Sure looks like I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that gives you a little more confidence, because we know it's not going to end in a 3. Right? A, B, I need 5 here. I get it. And it's technical, and I've got geometry. I can't ask for any more. Right? So now, up I go. Right? I run right into the 50. So if this is going to retrace, right? So maybe this is, shit, we don't know what this is going to look like. Probably not far enough, but we can understand why it's hitting its head here. Right? And then just looking left, right? Okay. Gonna have to run into that. And then you got hurdles, right? So you want to track this. Right, it's exactly what we teach you, right? You're going to track this here, because the next thing I got to do, I got to break that golden zone, right? And then from there, then I got to break this one, right? Because that algorithm is just going to be there at every pivot. So until we get clear of this level here, and look where all the volume is, and until we get clear of this, so maybe it's 1, 2, we're going to need a 3, 4, we're going to need to break that. Right, as soon as we break that, right, then what comes the correction. So if you're not in this, well, now you're just kind of waiting. Now maybe this takes better shape, right? Maybe we get a 1, 2, and this starts to get legs over the weekend. It's always, you never know going into the weekend. But if we come in here, okay, if I get a 4, oh, okay, well, but if you're thinking about targets, be mindful of this right here, right? You know there's going to be short sellers here. The people that sold here, are going to defend it. They're going to defend their shorts, right? Just like the algorithm is programmed to do the exact same thing. So if we're going to come up here and hit our head here, maybe that's what sets up the next opportunity to look for the next 3. It's 5s and 3s, guys. It's not that complicated. I mean, sure, right? We get into some double zigzags and stuff like that. That takes some skill. But at the end of the day, right? 5s and 3s, 5s and 3s. It's really that straightforward. I end with a 5. Okay, perfect, right? Again, I won't go through all that. Okay, I'm going way long here. Let's go. This is kind of interesting. All right, so, I often say for crypto to run, right? So I've been saying this to my team and members, the alts have to fly, right? For a true crypto raging bull, you can't just be Bitcoin. Well, holy shit, talk about can't just be Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin dominance. Now, what's interesting, right? So pulling from the last pivot before we come down, what did we run into? Probably just a coincidence. I know what you're saying, right? Probably, right? Because this is not technical. Why would that hit the golden zone? It's probably just a coincidence. I'll let you draw your own conclusions there. Right? So what happened there? Shit. I mean, this looked like we were going to keep going here, because you can certainly bring a 5 out of that. This looked like this was the 3 and off we were going to go. Well, shit, damn, that's not what alts had in mind. So we got to work this as a W. Looks like we got to go A, B, C into an X here to make this work. A, B, funky, down for a C. So what does that mean? That means alts free to fly. Right? This is just what you're hoping for. Now, coming down here, you say, well, that's not going to be technical. That wouldn't be technical. Well, we're between the 50 and the 618. If this is going to keep coming lower, I sure would want to pay attention right here. Again, you can't trade this, but I'd certainly be mindful of where we are here. In the same way, I'm mindful of that weekly MACD. A little funky, a little unusual, but right? What did alts do? And here's total 2. I mean, incredible, right? Absolutely, alts raging, right? Just what you'd hope to see. Of course, it looks just like the Ethereum chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where are we going? Looks like we're still going here, right? Look, we're putting in a high as I'm recording this. That looks like, oh, you can get all the little subdivision here. Even if I go to an hourly, it looks like you can get all your subdivision here. Like we're still, shit, we're at the high as I'm recording this. 1, 2, looks like that's your 3, 4. Pushing out, shit, oh, that could be the 1, 2 for all we know, right? This alts, right, can really rip here. Just beautiful, just what you'd hope to see, right, in a crypto bull market. Exactly what you'd hope to see. And then Bitcoin, right, again, we've got our note of caution here. Now, where do we go next? Well, so note here, right? So from here, from the top, we're at the 38. From the secondary pivot, we're at the 50. So not surprising here that we're bumping our heads, and we got all of this and all of this action here. So we could stall here. Again, if you're long off of this idea here, no reason to be taking undue risk here, right? Your stop can be running to that pivot, so you've got a free trade. Oh, 40 minutes. Shit. Okay, did I cover everything? I think I did, right? I think I've got everybody covered here. We've been through the alternate. Back to my primary here. Yes, I don't think there's anything else for me to add. Hopefully you're long. You got a tight stop. If you're not long, right? Let us show you how to do this. I know, I say this with an awareness, right? Sometimes people say, God, you go so fast, man. You make it look so easy. Well, I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Very long time. Right? So I'm not trying to imply that trading is easy and that there's easy money to be made here. It's not, right? It's one of the hardest ways to make money. That has to be kind of the attraction to it, right? That's what attracted me to it. The speed of it, the challenge of it. This is one of the hardest ways to make money. Even though right now we've got new millionaires and billionaires being printed every day. It's just insane time. What an unbelievable time to be a crypto trader. To just have an awareness of what's going on in crypto, right? And then you think about the general public. Just now, what's this Coinbase thing all about? Right. So if it starts showing up on the, which it will, on the cover of mainstream media. Well, shit, it used to be magazines and newspapers, although, I suppose there's still a place for a cover of Forbes and the Wall Street Journal, right? As that stuff starts hitting those covers, some people will tell you that's the ultimate sell signal, right? And that doesn't mean we're crashing down to 2,000, but it could be that we're a little top heavy, right? So you can see what's happening with Coinbase, right? So I don't know how many billionaires were made on their when they hit the market. What did they get to? 350, 250, 350. It's just unbelievable, right, for the early investors. So it's not surprising that Bitcoin sold off a little bit. It's a little bit of it's very classic: buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So Coinbase going public. What does Bitcoin do? Sells off. Just so in tandem with that. It's very typical. This is, again, just the way the markets tend to move because it's crowd dynamics. It's fear and greed, fear and greed, fear and greed. That's all this is, right? Fear, greed, fear. Right? It's okay to be greedy. It's okay. It's okay to be in here. We're in here to make money, but let's be thoughtful about it. Let's respect the risk, right? The market. I'll say we're in an unusual time. So typically I would tell you that the market gives reluctantly, it takes aggressively. Right now it's giving freely. It's giving. If you're in crypto, it's giving. But there will be a take back. So be mindful of the risk. It may feel like easy money right now, but over the long term, it's never easy money. It's never, right? It's hard money. You got to use your brain. You got to be mindful. You can't be reckless. You got to be a thoughtful trader, and you got to respect the risk. Because when it hits, turn your world upside down. Okay, guys, I got to wrap it there. I went much longer than I intended to, but I just so many things to point out here. And again, I'm trying to keep it simple so that anybody can do this. You want to get more sophisticated? Well, here's an advantage to do it. Here's a way to do it and save a little dough. I think that'll cover it. Okay, with that, guys, have a great weekend. Members, I'll be back on Monday. We'll look at all your alts, and maybe we'll post that up for YouTube subs as well. Again, look forward to those live streams are coming 1st of May. Should be early May. Look for those to come. And with that, I'll wrap it and wish you guys a good weekend. Okay, take it easy.